course he would write a story about a hamster crawling up a hippopotamus's anus to go and fish out singing leeches. It just makes complete sense. Hello and welcome to a video of me telling you about the worst books I have ever read according to Goodreads. This video is inspired by Sarah without an H. Look at me shouting out YouTube channels that are way bigger than mine. The first book is The 1001 Mishaps of the Angel Ariel Auvinen. This is an Arto Paasilina novel. In fact, this is the first Arto Paasilina novel that I ever read, and I bought it specifically because it's about a theme that I adore, and that is taking Christian themes, heaven, God, angels, and just playing around with them. I am a sucker for this type of thing. Like, I just love it. So obviously I was going to buy this.
Jesus Christ. Yes, sir.
This was my introduction to the world of Arto Paasilina. And it also makes me really sad because not a lot of his books are available in English, and it pisses me off because the English publishing world is just allergic to translating stuff like this, and it irritates me. So this book tells the story of the angel Ariel Auvinen, who has just finished angel school. He's just graduated. Hello. You come say hello. Do you like to read? Do you like this book? Please don't eat my books. Yes, mowing the lawn is a chore, but someone has to do it, and that someone is Hugo. So Ariel is an angel. He is fresh out of angel school, and he gets assigned his first mortal. And he is super, super willing to show off all the skills that he has learnt in angel school by trying to make this mortal's life as smooth as possible, but he tends to overdo it a bit. So basically he just intervenes in small ways to try and make the mortal's life easier, but basically he ends up just making things worse than like if he hadn't intervened in the first place, if that makes sense. And it's a really sweet novel. The thing I really like about Arto Paasilina's novels is they are just about ordinary people and all their like quirkiness that comes with just being an ordinary person, which is not something you really see or that there really is room for in, you know, novels that are full of, you know, exciting adventures because, you know, the characters are too busy going on quests or fighting space battles or whatever. But here, like, there is more time to just explore the kind of innocent weirdness and what it is that makes human beings really tick. And Arto Paasilina is just particularly good at that. There's a scene in this book that I really like. So the mortal that Ariel is supposed to look after is called Aro, and he lives in Helsinki, and his girlfriend works in a bookshop, if memory serves. It's been a while since I read this book. But Aro's best friend works for a funeral company, and they have to go to Germany to pick up 2 hearses. Like the funeral company has bought 2 new hearses, and so Aro's friend asks Aro to go down so they can like both like drive them all the way back to Finland. And while they're there, they have to pick up 2 elderly ladies who passed away in Germany, 2 elderly Finnish ladies, and bring them back to Finland so they can be buried in Finland. And the scene where they get back to Finland is just, I love that scene. It is probably one of my favourite scenes in these types of novels. So they get back to the graveyards, Aro and his mate, they arrive there safe and sound with the hearses and the coffins with the 2 deceased ladies, and the angel Auriel Auvinen is sitting on the church. He's sitting on the roof. He's just like, you know, watching what's going on. And so Aro like steps out to talk with his mate, and as he's doing this, the souls of these 2 ladies just start rising up out of the coffins, and they kind of really see, oh, this is the afterlife, and they look at each other, and then they see the angel, and it is such a beautiful moment. It felt like a rebirth, like not like a death. It was like now they've kind of just started a new world. It's just such a positive moment. It's just such a lovely scene, and I really like it. And these two like ladies are kind of recurring characters in the book, because later on there's like a party in heaven at the end, and Auriel invites them both to come to the party with him. It's such a sweet, cute, feel-good novel with lovely, just normal, ordinary characters with their little quirkiness. I find this type of thing nice because, you know, it kind of makes one feel better for having a bunch of like weird, quirky things going on in our lives, like standing in a garden recording with a horse just walking around. Yeah, so I gave this book 5 stars. I really loved it. Goodreads rating for this book is 3.08. The next book on this list is Holy Cow by David Duchovny with a Goodreads score of 3.35. This is hands down one of the worst books I have ever read in my entire life. I have a full video about it if you want all the details. Basically, it's the story of a cow from the USA who decides to travel to India with a group of her friends, like farmyard animal friends, to escape from the meat industry. The message that is contained in this book is just really weird. Like, the whole novel is just really weird. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. It contradicts itself a lot. There's another book that is very similar to this by German writer David Safier, which is called Moo in German. I also have a video about it, but it basically does this, but way better. And that one is going to be translated into English if it isn't already. So yeah, go read Moo by David Safier and not Holy Cow by David Duchovny. Why is it always men called David? I gave this book 1 star. It's an absolute disaster. The next book on this list is Hide by Kiersten with a score of 3.33 on Goodreads. This book was written by somebody who saw Squid Game and thought that it was a really good idea and tried to make their own version of that, but basically completely misses the point. This book tells the story of a group of young people who are taken to this abandoned fairground where they essentially have to play a giant game of hide and seek, and every day 2 of them are eaten by this monster-like creature, and the book basically boils down to what a senseless waste of human life. But to me, it didn't seem like anything particularly horrible or unfair. Like, I didn't really care about these people. They weren't particularly interesting in any way or likable in any way. And so, like, reading this book, I was kind of like, yeah, life sucks. Sometimes people die before their time. It's unfortunately a thing. And I felt like that was the only point this book was making, so okay. I gave it 3 stars, and I can't remember why. Yeah, go watch Squid Game, don't read this. The next book on this list is Squirrel Seeks Chipmunk by David Sedaris, with a score of 3.38 on Goodreads. This is a collection of short stories featuring anthro animals, which is not normally the type of thing that David Sedaris writes. David Sedaris is an essayist. So I love David Sedaris, okay? He is in a category of writers that I just will not ever negatively criticize, along with Terry Pratchett and Amélie Nothomb, because, and the thing about this book is, I don't know, when I read it, I just felt like this was like normal David Sedaris writing, but with like anthro animals instead of people. My advice for reading David Sedaris novels is the same advice that I would give readers of Amélie Nothomb, which is to read all of his books in order. Like, start from the first one, like just read them all in sequence, because you really kind of get a sense of what his life is about, how he grows as a person, how he just, like, you know, moves through life, depending on different circumstances. And I feel like you need that context in order to fully understand the full, like, point of this book, if that makes sense. Like, when you're familiar with his writing, you're just like, Of course he would write a story about a hamster crawling up a hippopotamus's anus to go and fish out singing leeches. It just makes complete sense. Like, I really recommend this stuff. I think it's brilliant, but again, I feel like you kind of have to know David Sedaris and what he's about. So I gave this 5 stars. I love David Sedaris with all my heart, but I can see why other people might find this a bit odd. I'm not joking. There's even like a picture and everything.
I'm asking for safe passage through the anus.
Is there something wrong with me? Do you have anything that you would like to say? Anything at all?
And now for something completely different.
The last book on this list is The Accidental Apprentice by Vikas Swarup with a score of 3.44. This is the only book in my life I have ever buddy read. I buddy read this book with my dad. I had the physical version, he had the audio book, and we just had such a great time with it. Like, we both loved it, we both thought it was brilliant. So this book tells the story of a girl called Sapha Sinha, I think, who is an Indian girl, and she works in a little shop in Delhi, and she just, you know, has a basic bog standard life. And one day she's approached by this billionaire CEO who says that he wants to make her the CEO of his company, and he believes that she's the best person for the job, but she has to kind of like prove her worth by doing a series of tests. So she has tests of character, courage, skills. And what I love about this is most of the time, you know, if you've ever worked for a company, the people who are in charge, the people who are in power, usually aren't the best people for these jobs. They are there for reasons nobody really understands. They are more or less incompetent. And you kind of know that lower down there are people who could like do these jobs way better than they could, but they either don't have the right family ties, or they don't have the right background, or they don't have the right diplomas, but they nevertheless would make better people for these positions. And also the people who want these positions, like just want them so that they can be in power and so that they can like have power over other people. And the people who like would be best for these jobs are not people who seek power, so they just like they'll never go and seek out these jobs. I don't know if I'm making sense here, but basically Sapna is not qualified. She is not like working her way up the ladder to get to a CEO position. She doesn't want the job, but she is nonetheless the best person for it. And she like has to go through all this test, and she meets like all these different characters. And it's a book that is fun. It also kind of shows the dark underside of like modern society of like big cities in India, which I found rather interesting. So I really like this book, and it's got a special place in my heart because I enjoyed it with my dad, and my dad's no longer with me. So yeah, you know, this book will always have a special place in my heart. So I gave it 5 stars. I really like it, and I would recommend it. Like, I really enjoyed this book. Out of all of these books, this is probably my favorite one. So yeah, The Accidental Apprentice by Vikas Swarup. So that's it for this video. Thank you for spending this time with me. I came outside because it was nice and sunny, but the sun's gone now. Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and share this video with your friends, your dog, your cat, your goldfish, anyone really. Just, yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Mwah.